Hello, we're live, we're ready to go for night 2. Let's see if anyone jumps on, hey? Hope everyone's had an awesome Tuesday. Now I've got 2 phones going tonight, so if I'm doing weird things with my eyes and looking over the place, you know why. So streaming to Insta and the Balance Babes Facebook group, so hopefully we get a few people on to tune in and listen to some stuff that I've got to share about just a different philosophy. Hello Karina, how are you? Yeah, so what your doctor doesn't understand about hormones. Now I want to preface this little talk here by starting to say that this is not in any way an anti-doctor rant. I love doctors, we couldn't live well without doctors. And I think the thing that we need to point out most importantly is that doctors have a very completely different set of skills to naturopaths. So I think the biggest mistake people make is actually comparing the two options of treatment. The reality is you can do both. They don't need to compete. They're approaching health from a completely different standpoint, completely different view, completely different approach as what naturopathy does. So they do work very well together, and I absolutely, definitely consider naturopathic approach, the holistic approach, a complementary therapy. So you can do both. So not in any way slamming doctors at all. So the thing though, in regards to when we look at our hormones, I guess the problem, the setback that a lot of women do find when they're looking with their hormones is that, you know, you're feeling like crap, you know something is out of balance in your body, whether it be you're tired, your periods all over the place, your moods are crazy, and you go into your GP and you have your standard blood tests done and they come back normal. And like, how much of a kick in the guts is that, right? Because it's like, well, I don't feel normal, like I'm going crazy, my moods are off the chart, you know, my periods are getting increasingly worse. And the problem is the limitation in what the tools, I guess, the doctors have in order to help you guys with. Really, pretty much the only thing they can offer you guys is synthetic hormones. Most common being the oral contraceptive pill, or then we have your intrauterine devices, things like your Mirenas, even HRT for those women at the change of life sort of stage of their life. And some people will use this method and they'll get a decent amount of relief, but the problem is, and the limitation is this, is when if we're trying to fix a hormone imbalance with hormones, we're missing the picture completely. And if you tuned in last night, you'll understand a bit more about why, because the hormone imbalance itself is perfect. And I talked a lot about this last night, so please jump back into the Facebook group and listen to the replay if you haven't caught it yet. But the reason your hormonal imbalance is perfect is because hormones are chemical messengers. They are sending you a message, they're sending you a signal to let you know that something is wrong within the body. Now, this can be as simple as you're dehydrated, your body's too acidic, you know, general functions, normal physiological processes aren't happily occurring correctly within your body. And so your hormones go out of whack in order to send too much or too little of their message to the receptors in your body, which elicits change, which elicits some kind of symptom. Symptoms is the way that your body communicates with you. It's how it lets you know that something's wrong, something's out of balance, or something needs fixing or addressing. So that's the most fundamental thing that we want you to understand. So when we come in and we use a synthetic hormone to come and try and balance hormones, we're essentially silencing the message that your body's trying to let us know. And this is where we can run into trouble down the track. This is, you know, one of the most important philosophies of Balance Babes and this 7-step hormone healing system that I use to help women with their hormones is really the ability to investigate and understand what is that message that your body is trying to give you, to get to that underlying cause of why your body's having hot flashes, why your moods are low, why there's depression, why you can't lose weight, because there's always a reason. Diseases don't just occur as bad luck. They occur because something is out of balance in your body, and that's the most important takeaway that I want you to take away from tonight as important. So the problem is also when we're going down that doctor's route, there's this one sort of standard of rules. It's a one-size-fits-all approach. And it's like, the thing that we've got to understand is there's so many things that influence the level of hormones in your body. And this is all these environmental factors and also even the health of our receptors. So we have this kind of standard range of what the ideal estrogen range is, the ideal progesterone, the ideal testosterone, the ideal luteinizing hormone, these hormones. But the problem is that could be normal for you, but this could be normal for someone else, and that could be normal for someone else again. So there is no one size fits all. So just going and having your bloods tested to measure the amounts of hormones in your body, it's really only giving us a very tiny snapshot of what's actually going on in the body, because we want to know, well, why are we not producing a certain amount of this? Why is it more so, is your body not responding? What's going on from the receptor point of view? Why is your body not, responding or, bringing about change in response to what that hormone is trying to bring about in the body? So that's a really, really important thing to keep in mind. So the seven-step hormone healing system. So these are 7 things that I have identified through my own personal health journey of overcoming polycystic ovarian syndrome and premature ovarian failure, is things that your doctors will never ever talk to you about. They're things that they'll never test you for. They're things that they simply don't understand, because these are, I guess, what we would call them roadblocks, things that potentially go wrong in the body, which then the hormones then behave badly in order to let you know about them. So this is the key 7 steps. If you can really start to address those and clear them in your body, your hormones will naturally come back into balance, because they don't need to be continuing to alert you that something's wrong. So hopefully we're starting to get a really, really more, I guess, holistic idea of what's going on with our hormones. They are the chemical messengers. Don't silence the messenger, okay? You want to listen to your hormones and investigate what do they want you to know, and then go about making the lifestyle changes from a holistic point of view. So looking at the physical, spiritual, and emotional needs of your body in order for you to live in balance, okay? So I'm gonna run you through the 7 steps, okay? So these are the 7 things that I've found over time and time again why the body develops hormone imbalances or even reproductive disorders. Your endometriosis, your polycystic ovarian syndrome, your fibroids. 1 in 8 women have one of these phenomena. They are so common in this day and age. And here are the 7 driving factors as to why that we develop them. The first one is adrenal dysfunction. Now, put your hand up if you're not stressed, right? Like who isn't stressed in this day and age? Stress is just something that happens, but what we need to look at is how well your body copes and adapts with stress. Stress is essentially anything that brings about an internal change to your mood or your internal state. It changes biological processes within our body. And if you're stressed, your body automatically goes into what's called the fight and flight response, okay? We go into high alert. We're operating from a defensive, basically a survival mode. If we're in survival mode, your body's basically going, right, what do I need to do right now in order to stay alive? So as you can probably imagine, anything to do with your reproductive hormones just gets thrown out the window, because your body doesn't need to maintain healthy progesterone and estrogen. We don't need to sustain a baby or pregnancy when you're in a survival rate. So if you've been under stress for a long period of time, as in producing too much cortisol, or you've got to the point of burnout and now you're not producing enough cortisol, if you're living in that fight and flight, you're producing too much adrenaline, you're living on stimulants, and you're in that really wired zone, the body can't actually heal, because all its energy and all its resources are going into allowing you to stay in this wired state, that looking over your shoulder constantly. This prevents us from falling into that deep REM sleep state, because we're in this, it's like, we don't want to relax and rest, because the body's always perceiving that there is danger around. So the first most important thing that you must do if you want to heal anything in your body, outside of even female reproductive conditions, you must get your body out of the fight and flight response, okay? It's such an important thing. And if we look at that physically, it's about resting, it's relaxing, it's, herbal medicines, dietary change that nourish the adrenals. And emotionally, it's about really relaxing, meditation, and calming that busy mind. And I'm going to go into the personality types of adrenal fatigue in just a moment. Step 2 is cleansing the colon. Now, the colon is an organ which is pretty much the rubbish bin of the body, and it wraps itself around your uterus. So you can imagine if it's toxic, if it's full of crap, pardon the pun, because we're not eliminating effectively over many, many years, and it becomes overgrown. It also becomes overgrown with bad bacteria, potentially parasites and stuff like that. So we've got this sort of rubbish bin that's not being cleared out or emptying regularly, that's basically polluting our reproductive organs. And the problem with the colon is that it has a semi-permeable membrane, which means that anything that's inside that colon is also interchanging with your bloodstream. So it's basically spewing out mess and waste constantly creating dirty blood, creating acidity, creating toxicity within the body. So we can't have a good, healthy, clean body if your internal organs are dirty. And I find that this is such a big issue when we have, increased period pain, we have cyst formation on the ovaries because of this toxicity. It's just overflowing into the ovaries, and it's a massive issue, but it can absolutely be cleansed and cleared. The third thing that we find is infections, and most of you probably would skip over this one thing. Well, I don't have any infections, I'm not sick. I'm talking about the resistant, nasty infections that you're not even aware that you have in your body. So these are things like parasites, bacterial overgrowth. Small intestinal overgrowth in particular is a really common phenomenon that we're hearing a lot of. Candida overgrowth, and we can have too much candida in our gut even if we're not getting that classic symptom of like a vaginal thrush expression. And then the last one is viral infections. Now, I don't know anyone who hasn't had a virus of some sort in their body. And, from a doctor's point of view, we kind of look at a virus like, oh, well, once you've had it, it's in your system forever, but it's no big deal. Well, actually, it is a big deal, because that virus does remain in your body. And even though it may be remaining dormant, and so you're not experiencing the physical symptoms of being unwell in that moment, your immune system is well aware that it's still in your body. And your immune system is basically working its guts out all day, every day to try and keep that virus and make sure that it does remain dormant. Except the problem is viruses are very crafty. They hide themselves inside our organs, in particular the thyroid gland and our liver. CMV, for example, cytomegalovirus, has an affinity for the brain and the nervous system. Obviously, we know herpes has an affinity for the nervous system. The Epstein-Barr virus, glandular fever, has an affinity for the thyroid gland. And what happens is these viruses, they work about gathering heavy metals from your system, and they use those heavy metals to basically provide a shield for themselves. So that's when then the immune system starts going, I can't get to you, because it's trying everything it can to keep this virus at bay, but essentially the virus has outsmarted it and we can't get to it anymore. And this becomes a massive issue because it keeps in that fight and flight response. The immune system goes into panic mode. It's like, I know you're there, but I can't get to you. So then we have this immune system on overdrive, which of course what goes up must eventually come down. We can't sustain that high level of immune activity, and over time our immune system will become suppressed, or worse, we can get what's called the autoimmune reaction, because the immune system becomes quite trigger happy because it's trying everything it possibly can to throw out these viruses. And that's when we start to see an increase in food intolerances and allergies. So I find it's really, really common when we have women with hormonal imbalances. They start to then develop histamine insensitivities and food intolerances, and it's a big, big issue. And it all starts with clearing out those viruses and then modulating the immune system. Now, the fourth step is about loving the liver. The liver is the filter of the body, just like we have a filter in our car engine, which is, cleaning all the crap out. The liver is the master hormone in regards to burning fat as an energy source. It's the master hormone in regards to keeping those hormones in check and recycling and metabolizing our hormones. So we produce hormones all day, every day. And then the body needs to basically, once we've produced it, it needs to clear that not the excess, but it needs to clear, once it's caused its action on a receptor site, that hormone then needs to be metabolized by the liver and excreted out of the body. If our liver's not doing a great job of removing them from the body, then obviously certain hormones can build up in our system, and we can get certain phenomena like estrogen dominance, which is a really, really common phenomenon. It's what's responsible for, those painful heavy periods, really cranky moods, sore breasts, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome. There's a whole chapter on that in my book, Balance Babes. So loving the liver is such an important thing, and being willing to get in and do that cleanse, once a year minimum, just to keep everything in check. The fifth step is all about our digestion, our gut microbiome, our digestive secretions, and healing that gut lining. Leaky gut is such a huge phenomenon, and that microbiome plays such a huge role in also recycling and metabolizing our hormones, but also boosting our immune system, helping with our digestion, our mood, and all that sort of stuff as well. So if we've got that congested colon, 80% of our beneficial bacteria actually lives inside the colon. And so we need to be able to clear that gunk out of the colon so that beneficial bacteria can actually thrive in there, because the nasties, the bad bacteria, they love that dense, dark, acidic, mucousy environment that's congested colon, but your good stuff can't thrive. And it's one of the biggest mistakes I see so many women make. They're suffering with bloating and discomfort, and they go and put themselves on a probiotic. that's pretty much like throwing a skinny 10-year-old kid in the boxing ring with a heavyweight champion. These bad bacteria are so strong in enforcing that dense environment, because it's an environment that suits them, that they basically just kill the good bacteria, and that probiotic's a complete utter waste of time and money for you, and quite often for a lot of women it can make you feel even more bloated and even worse because you're feeding the bad bacteria. So working on the digestive system is absolutely about stimulating digestive secretions like bloating. I mean, every single woman I work with suffers from that uncomfortable bloating feeling, and obviously it gets, you know, worse around her period and stuff like that as well, but it's such an uncomfortable thing to have to deal with. And then our next step is about nailing nutrition. So again, it still blows my mind in this day and age that so many doctors don't even acknowledge the role of nutrition in our hormones or in health and disease in general, but nailing nutrition is about you eating the exact amount of diet for you, because we can get very caught up in all the research that says plant-based is great and all the research that says keto is great and all the research that says paleo is great. They're all great, right? There's research to support them all, but what does your body actually work for? As an individual, we need to know what is right for us, and that all comes down to a lot of the work I talked about in last night's training about being connected with you, listening, tuning in, being mindful, asking those questions, checking in. How did I feel after that meal? It's eating mindfully, not just eating on the run without even thinking and then rushing on with the rest of our day and then being completely disconnected with what's going on in the background, because, you know, you've scoffed down your lunch, for example, then you get back into work and you go about your day, and then 4 hours later you've got a headache, and we haven't even made the connection that maybe it's got something to do with what we've eaten, because we've just been in go mode the whole time. So it's a big thing. Now, the final step, and this is what we're going to go into a lot more detail tomorrow night, is emotional evolution. And this is the process of essentially identifying limiting beliefs which have us stuck in our way of being, which have us seeing the world through only one set of glasses, that keep us basically limited, that prevent us from really stepping into our truest power, our highest self, and really achieving everything that is we desire. This is also associated with unexpressed wounds, you know, traumas, and like I said, unexpressed emotions as well. So when we don't really live our truth and learn how to really feel and express ourselves, these emotions just get expressed and they settle down in our pelvic cavity, which leads to disease at that cellular level. And this is why I think we're seeing such an increase in things like endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome, because basically, you know, we've just got this low vibrational, dense inflammatory stuff happening at a gut level. So what I'm going to go over now, which is going to be completely left field in regards to, you know, what you would hear and learn from your doctors in regards to your hormonal issues, is I'm going to go over now the specific, I guess, emotional prototype, the personality types, the healing, the energetic stuff causes of your hormonal imbalances through those 7 steps. So if you are someone that is, I see it all the time. I have women that I work with who they're actually really quite healthy at a physical level. They eat well, they exercise, they feel like they're living in balance, they look after their body, everything, and that sort of thing. But then they can't understand why their hormones are so crazy out of control. And this is quite often because there is emotional healing that needs to get done, because they're stuck in these specific personality types or limiting ways of being and doing, and it really, the body is trying to bring you back. It's trying to show you that we need to make a change in the way we're viewing things. We need to make a change in the way we're living our life. We need to essentially stop living for other people and start living for ourselves. And I talk about this a lot more in last night's video, so please go back and watch it. So these personality types that we find are so commonly associated. So if you're someone that identifies with adrenal fatigue, and again, I would say 75% of women have a degree of adrenal fatigue, and there's an awesome, I'll share the links, but on my website I have a table which talks you through the 3 stages of adrenal fatigue, and you can have a look at that and see what you identify with. But adrenal fatigue, essentially the common personality types that I see with women that ends up causing adrenal problems, is the first one, comparisonitis. Okay, this is where we are constantly comparing ourselves to other women, and as a result always feeling like we're not enough. Okay, invisibility is where we're not setting strong boundaries, and so we're letting people walk all over us as if we're invisible. Okay, FOMO, where you don't honor your own self and your own needs because you don't want to miss out on anything. So you're saying yes to absolutely everything else externally, but you're not actually saying yes to you and your needs. Another one is people pleasing, really, really common. So when we don't have a strong sense of self-worth, we're seeking approval and acceptance from external people. So we fall into that people pleasing way of being. The next one is perfectionism. We have these high standards for ourselves that are just unrealistic to meet. So we're putting all this unnecessary pressure on ourselves. And so you can imagine you're never ever feeling okay or right or like you're good enough. And then the final one, another two, rejection of self. So when you're really just constantly looking at yourself and going, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, which kind of flows into perfectionism a little bit as well. And then the final one is what I call the busy addict, where we place our self-worth on being busy. We don't believe we're important unless we're busy and we're achieving goals and we're ticking things off our to-do list. If you can identify with any of those common personality types, whether you like it or not, you are eventually going to end up with some form of adrenal distress happening within your body. So in the 7-step hormone healing system, my online course, we go through the 7 steps in great detail. We give you all the protocols and measures you need to heal physically in terms of the herbs, the diet to follow, the lifestyle things to implement, but we also do a lot of work through emotional evolution, healing, live weekly healings that we do to help you go through this emotional evolution process, which helps you essentially reconstruct your belief. And essentially what we're asking you to do is potentially change your personality to a degree. Now you can choose to stay stuck and go, well, I'm a perfectionist, that's just who I am. But is that really serving you? And changing our personality can seem overwhelming, but we're actually just asking you to choose a more empowered version for yourself. And we can actually rewire the brain absolutely when we 100% can do it. And it can be hard work. It takes consistent work, which we do over the 7-week course that we work on together. But on the other side of healing from these limiting personality beliefs, these limiting stories and ideas that we have of ourselves, is complete and utter freedom. It's you stepping into your most expanded, vibrant version of yourself, where your energy field is big and bright, where nothing but health exists. Disease can't exist in that field. So it's such an empowered state to be in. So the emotional personality type associated with that colon congestion is people that really have a lot of baggage. So there's shit that they will not let go of. Now this can be stuff, people think, situations that have occurred in your life but we haven't yet forgiven and let go of. And if you can relate to that, you're probably someone that does struggle with constipation. So obviously, again, in the course, we're going to give you all the tools to heal that physically, all the processes, the cleansers, enemas if you're up for it. If you're not, that's okay, the diet. But we do the inner emotional work also to help you let go of the baggage so that we can start, so that colon congestion is never a thing, okay? The third step, eradicating infection. So energetically, emotionally, this is all about giving away our power, letting people take advantage of us. It's like toxic energy vampires sucking us. It's codependent relationships where you're allowing other people and needing other people, and it can go both ways as well. Some people can be guilty of being the energy vampire without even consciously being aware of it, where we rely on other people's energy to help us feel better. So we go through all the emotional processes. There's workbooks, there's activities, there's exercises, there's a whole lot of stuff that we do to really help you transform this way of being. And for some of you, you won't even be aware that you're stuck in this way of being because you've always been that way and we don't know any different. So this is where we can help you start joining the dots through the coaching calls and the online content, because we start to help you, show you how it may look in your life, how it may be showing up physically or emotionally as well. Step 4, loving the liver. If you're someone whose liver's not functioning great at a physical level, emotionally, energetically, you are probably going to have a lot of unexpressed anger going on. Again, you may not be consciously aware that you're even angry at certain things, but there will be certain things that have potentially happened in your life that, you know, we're all taught, don't scream and shout and be a crazy neurotic woman. So we sort of just smile nice and we don't express, and we're not taught to be assertive and speak up for ourselves and set boundaries. And so a lot of this, when we feel like people take advantage of us or they hurt us or they offend us, we just sink down and we let it all just sink in, and this is where it goes in and express, and it affects our liver health. So we do a lot of work of helping us release healthy, this unexpressed anger. And if you're someone that gets hot flushes, you're someone that wakes up at 2 a.m. in the morning regularly, if you're someone that can't lose weight, if you're someone that struggles with your skin, there'll be probably a lot of unexpressed anger that we get to help you shift through the program. The next one is all about digestion, and the emotional energetic thing with that is it's about the big picture of life. And if you are disconnected from your truth, your goals, your values, your dreams, you're going to have digestive problems. You're going to feel bloated all day, every day. So this is where we look at where, are you living your truth? Are you choosing what's right for you, or are you letting other people's values and beliefs lead the way? Are you making decisions to try and please other people versus sticking to your truth and doing what's right for you? If you're not, digestion is one of the most common things, that constant bloating, because we're not stomaching life anymore, because it's not your life. You're living someone else's life. You're living your life on someone else's terms. Now, number 5, nutrition. This is really if you're like sort of someone who goes, oh, I don't know what I should and shouldn't eat, or it doesn't matter what I eat, I still blow up, or I still don't get better. When we are struggling with our nutrition at a physical level, energetically, emotionally, we're disconnected from ourself and our intuition. Okay, we should have the ability to just to know intuitively that food will make me feel good, that food will make me feel bad, and that will change from day to day, from week to week, because as a woman in her feminine energy, we are allowed to change and go with the flow and change. We're not supposed to be stuck in structured eating plans. That's a very masculine way of living and being. So in the program, we give you eating plans and eating guidelines and recipes, but I also teach you to intuitively eat what feels good, honor your cravings, explore and experiment with what works for you, because that is the most important way to gather that information. And I always say there's nothing that anyone else in this world, even trained professionals like myself or GPs, that they can tell you about your body that you don't already intuitively know. And this is a big part of the Balance Babe mission, teaching women to come back to their body, to connect with their intuition, their heart space, their womb wisdom, and know what's intuitively right for you. And so then the final step is the emotional evolution. So I'm really excited. We're going to go through an emotional evolution process exactly tomorrow night, same time, 7 p.m. Queensland, 8 p.m. New South Wales or Melbourne. And it's absolutely going to be amazing, because it's going to really transform the way you view everything that's occurring in your world. And I'll plant a little seed. It's all based around learning how to understand and process our triggers. So everything that triggers you in life is essentially your internal compass showing you where we need to change direction and move things, change our beliefs, change our viewpoint, change our standpoint, so that we can be in alignment with our truth and our wants and our goals and our needs. So that's what we have in store for tomorrow night. I'm really, really looking forward to guiding you through that. It's going to start with some education in terms of how for you to process that through. But then we're going to do basically like a little sort of 10-minute sort of guided meditation, just to teach you how to connect in with the emotion and feel and tune back in with your womb as well. So that is me for tonight. I really hope that you've all learned something. Please drop in the comments if you have any questions. Please share your biggest takeaway. Please tag your friends if you think you know anyone that could benefit from this information. Make sure that you Instagrammers are in the Facebook group, because that's where you'll be able to watch the replay and all the other heaps of videos and content that I share. One last plug, the 7-step hormone healing system is going to be released as of Monday, the 1st of November. And we're offering that at a founding membership price of $497 for the 7-week live coaching course that we can do together. I'll be mentoring you through it. I'll be competing in all the process myself, following the diet, doing all the activities, doing live videos daily. So it's an amazing time and opportunity to do the course while I'll be coaching you. You get all the coaching and mentoring for free for this first release. So if it excites you, reach out if you've got questions, but all the information will be available within the next couple of days. I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to catch up with you all again very soon. Mwah.